And welcome to another exciting episode of the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. I'm your host, Tim D-O-double-G. Tonight I'm joined by the man behind the sound effects, at Agent_70 on Twitter.
What's up, everybody? Let's go, Mets!
We also have at PCN_Dirt on Twitter.
Yeah. Punching Zoo is now in stores.
Ooh.
Why do you want to punch a zoo?
Punching instead of a petting zoo, it's a punching zoo.
Oh.
From Cyanide and Happiness.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
And that voice you just heard is at Roddy Cat on Twitter.
Hello.
And he also runs the Twitter newsfeed account at NewsNerdsNeed.
He does.
Make sure to go to our website, theclicknation.com. You can find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles or Comic Book Reviews. Follow the Twitter account at CBCron. Like the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/theclicknation. Add us to your circles on Google Plus to join the Click Nation community, and also to follow the Google Plus page. Go to google.com/+symbol Click Nation. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and youtube.com/Click Nation. Use the hashtag Comic Book Chronicles on your favorite social media websites. And also hashtag CBCron also. We are a part of the Cold Slither Podcasting Network. Go to their website, cspn.us. And while you're there, make sure to shop at the CSPN Redbubble site to buy Comic Book Chronicles merchandise. That's redbubble.com/people/CSPN/shop. And remember, we record live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So, people may not be able to tell, I have no idea, but I'm slightly under the weather right now. I do not have con crud, unlike Agent 70 who's recovering from
Still
his.
recovering from some concrete right here.
But I'm currently dosed up on some Mucinex, which is starting to slowly kick in right now. So to save my sore throat, I'm going to hand over the reading of the comic book news for the week to Agent 70 and Roddy Cat. I'll be here, of course, to chime in where I feel necessary. But I'll let the fellas take it away.
Alrighty.
Well, alright.
Alright, Rod, you want to lead?
Let's do this.
Cinematic news. With this
Cinematic news. We have Doctor Strange rumor. Is Rachel McAdams playing Night Nurse? So there's been some speculation about who or what she's going to play. Some people were saying Clea. I think I was one of those people. And now there's something saying that Latino review saying she may play a version of Night Nurse. I don't know too much about Night Nurse outside of the fact that Rosario Dawson is playing a version on Netflix, Daredevil, and other places of Netflix's Marvel properties. But this is supposed to be the Christine Palmer one, which apparently is popular, I guess. Don't know. So there is
No
that.
idea. I mean, it's just rumors. We have to take it, obviously, with a grain of salt.
Yep.
You also have to know who Night Nurse is.
Correct.
That's a high barrier of entry on that one.
There is all that.
So, that's that. Alright, so let's see here. So the Fargo creator talks Legion TV series and connections to the X-Men movie universe. So as we spoke about last week, there's some X-Men related TV shows that are in the works. Hellfire is going to be based on the villainous group, the Hellfire Club, introduced in X-Men in the cinematic universe of X-Men in the First Class movie. while the Legion show is going to focus on the title character David Haller, who is diagnosed schizophrenic but learns he's actually a mutant. Haller / Legion is the son of Professor X in the comic books. I'm wondering if they're probably going to touch on that if it's connected to the X-Men movies in the show. So it'll be interesting to see if they ever, pull in Patrick Stewart to make an appearance. But we'll see about that. Legion is being executive produced by FX's Fargo creator Noah Hawley, who's also writing the pilot.
Which I hear Fargo's good, so maybe? I don't know. So now we have Gambit charges up with new director rumor. Apparently, so the Gambit thing's been up in the air the last few months. It's been kind of quiet on that set. No pun intended, I guess. The director dropped off and they needed a new one. Channing Tatum is now looking into Doug Liman, apparently, who directed Edge of Tomorrow.
The Tom Cruise movie?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can't remember what else he's done. I feel like I know the name from elsewhere, but I don't know. Either way, that's who he's rumored to be shopping or trying to get.
All right. So let's team up on this Star Wars stuff. There's a bunch of this news. So the final Star Wars: The Force Awakens trailer was revealed this past week.
It was official.
Yes, the official one. And what did you guys think of it?
Let's see. I'm kind of behind because I've only watched it like 3 times.
Oh no.
So uh-oh. Oh, I'm about to say everybody froze for a second. I was like,
yeah, everybody froze. We all froze. That was weird.
All we needed was
that.
Yeah, that's all we needed was Leslie Nielsen. Anyway, so yeah, I was going to watch it 3 times. I thought it was a pretty good trailer. The only problem I had was I got spoiled on part of it thanks to my brother. Not spoiled on it, I should say, but he was hyping it up in text, and I'm sitting here like, all right, you're going to kill this. But it was still a pretty good trailer. There is also a supercut right now, as a matter of fact, I didn't put it in the news, that has pretty much all of the trailers that we have seen, and I think we have Dirt on a trailer.
Dirt has cued the trailer.
You don't get the sound, though, because of that.
Yeah.
Right. But the trailer spoilers, we get some new shots that we haven't seen before. Actually, most of it's all new shots that we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still hyped. I just want this movie to get here already, and we still have another, 2 months? Or a little less than 2 months to go. Yeah. So, and
still didn't see Luke in it so far.
No, well,
yeah, I was gonna say that's the big
hand
secret.
Yeah. So, and there's also there's the part where Leia and Han, I guess that's who that was, hugging, and Leia looks kind of distraught. So something happened to somebody, and of course there are people. No less than probably couple of hundred people just picking this thing apart left and right, saying, hey, this could be going on, and this, whatever. Speculation is arisen, has awoken. So, and of course, at the end of this, which we were starting to get to, see this part right here that's showing that where Han and Tar was talking to Rey and Finn, and what was being said like right before that was kind of interesting to me, because it was the part where there was some I think it was Han talking over whatever shots going on, and specific words were being said at specific shots, and it's like, interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it's all true. Spoiler alert.
Exactly.
I didn't say what's true. I just said it's all true.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and there's also, I guess we'll get to this later, because there's also there is actually some slightly new insight into a new character that is that they showed for a second in here, but they've only showed like brief seconds of this character. So, but we'll talk about that later when we get to the books.
Gotcha. All right, so we're at the end of the trailer. Is there anything?
I'm just going to sit here and watch it a couple more times. You guys just keep going.
No problem. No problem. So it's almost like we're actually reenacting some of the next bit of news here, which is there is a video of the actors from the Force Awakens movie reacting to the new trailer. It's kind of amusing.
Yeah. They even had
and
one for
accompanying,
BB-8.
yes, and accompanying the new trailer also is the new theatrical poster, and some people had some fun with that this week.
Oh yeah, put that in there. There was
Some
another
people had
parody.
some fun with that.
Yeah, let's see if we can get this. Well, no, don't worry about
Well,
that.
don't worry about. I mean, the bottom line is, some people thought it would be funny if they stuck some Gungans in there, and that was not
Yeah,
funny.
they did a Jar Jar
Not
poster. I was
funny.
like, all right,
Who bought their Force Awakens tickets, by the way?
Oh, that's right. They did go on sale. The
I don't know.
Crash
I was
Fandango and
all the other sites
all
and
the other
yeah.
sites too.
I don't know. I figured I'd wait because I figured you. Actually, there was even an article about it. It was like, yeah, you don't have to get your tickets right now, but it was just like, just people beating the rush to get there. And I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm going to actually see it the first week or not, because that's going to be a madhouse.
There's always the Monday or Tuesday after.
Yeah, and that's what I'm starting to think.
Y'all will be running without me probably more than likely that Thursday because I got my 10 o'clock ticket.
Did you? Huh. Oh, you're going to be deep into it then.
Nice.
Yeah, why not?
Good job.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing the 7 o'clock one for that day, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, 7 o'clock I'd have been pushing it too much, trying to eat and walk the dog beforehand.
Yeah.
Listen, it's cheaper than World Series tickets. Trust me on that.
Paying to separate conjoined twins is cheaper than World Series tickets.
Don't get me started. All right.
So where are we now?
Let's polish off the last Star Wars bit of news. So apparently the latest script for Star Wars Rogue One, one of the spin-off movies, is being polished off by Christopher McQuarrie, or at least this is the rumor.
That's the rumor, yeah. So it's been touched a few different times. Like the initial stuff's been done by Gary Whitta and Chris Weitz, for people who've done various things. And
people
there's a rumor
various things. Like that's how you describe them. It's just people who have done various things.
Various movies.
Very, I like the very specific settings of that.
I'm glad you nailed that down.
Yeah. Got to just hit it on the head. Anyway, but yeah, so there is a rumor that Christopher McQuarrie may have done a 2-week polished job on at some point. They're thinking it could have been. They don't necessarily know when he did his stuff, if he did it, but they were saying it was like, yeah, this could have happened at some time between here and here, because he was already working on the last Mission Impossible movie, Rogue Nation. So who knows if this is even true, or whether there's anything to it. Regardless of the fact that the movie's still coming, the script has been touched a few different times, and hopefully it's going to be good.
Alrighty. Next up, Connor Hawke is going to be made a part of the Legends of Tomorrow show on the CW. Fans of the Green Arrow comic books will recognize Connor Hawke as a character created, more recent in the recent past as Ollie Queen's son. So it's interesting to see this. I'm not going to read all of this, but it seems that Legends of Tomorrow is going to be digging pretty deep into DC lore to pull up some of these characters.
Yeah. And presumably, if this is right, it's supposed to be like he may be biracial or African American. You don't know. Who decides to? It's going to be a spin on the version. It's not necessarily going to. It sounds like it is not going to be his son, just a version of the character.
Gotcha. All right.
Might be. It sounds like, actually, the way they pinned it sounds like one of those Robins in that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But yes. So now we
Moving
come
on.
to, why did I get this one? Ellen Page would be utterly delighted for a Kitty Pryde solo movie, because why not?
Right. Why not?
She was, as we know, Ellen Page played Kitty Pryde in a couple of movies. She was at a film festival talking, and I think that it got brought up to whether she'd be up for a movie, and then she answered in the way you would think she would answer.
All right. So, kind of major spoilers here for comic book fans of Captain America and the history of the character. But apparently, Daniel Bruhl, who we know now is playing Baron Zemo. We still don't know which version of Zemo it is, the father or the son. I think, right? That hasn't been revealed, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The Zemo that's in the next Captain America Civil War that's in the movie. Do we know if it's Helmut or Heinrich?
We don't necessarily
We don't know that, right?
that. No.
Right. So they may be altering the character somewhat for the movies. What he's kind of spoiled, and spoiler alert here, just in case someone really wanted to not know this. But apparently Daniel Bruhl, in the midst of promoting an upcoming, promoting his next movie, which is Burnt, he's spoken about the character he's playing for Captain America Civil War, and he's revealed that he will not be wearing the very purple mask that we all know is associated with the Zemos. So it's kind of, it's there's kind of a convoluted history to the mask and why the two Zemos wear it. So ultimately, it's probably for the best. It does give the character a little bit more of a little bit more expression, but at the same time, it is one of the more iconic looks for Cap's villain. So, we did get a Red Skull that looked like a Red Skull, so it's kind of disappointing to see a Zemo that's not donning the purple hood.
Unless it's one of those things where someone will throw a, glass full of acid on him at some point, and then he's got to put it on towards the end of the movie or something.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They always like to throw in their own explanations as to why stuff exists.
Right. God forbid it's a super adhesive. Spoiler alert.
Maybe he can go skiing and he just needs a mask to keep him warm, and he'll wear the purple one for that, but then he takes it off as soon as he goes inside.
Right.
There you go.
All right.
So, Sandman film gets really fantastic new writer, Goyer says. David Goyer, who is, I guess, the producer of the film, I think. Oh, by the way, before I get to that, because this is really not that much news, we have from the rafters, Mr. Matt Wang, who chimes in on the Connor Hawk thing. He said Connor Hawk is biracial in the comic. Chuck Dixon's run was action-packed.
Okay.
Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you.
So here we go with this news, and yes, David Goyer is speaking with Collider, and says that the script was being reworked by a really fantastic writer. We don't know whether that was, we don't know who it is. He just kind of put that out there. Maybe that's somebody who wrote Fantastic Four. I don't know why you would just go into. Okay. I don't know why you would say that, but there was nothing that says that at all. It's just that. If you're going to use that word so specifically, that's weird. I don't know. Or he could just say, hey, yeah, we got a fantastic writer, which is probably the thing. But they're going to do a new draft. There were some things in the background with Vertigo that they kind of had to inform what they're doing with the movie. So they're still trying to get those ducks in a row. And the rewrite and the movie should be coming at some point.
Okay. All right. So Marvel and Netflix have released a poster for the new Jessica Jones series that finally promises a first trailer to be released tomorrow.
Yep.
So be on the lookout for that. That's pretty exciting.
And we have... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you want to roll into the next one, Roddy?
Sure. Ant-Man director in talks for return to sequel. So the director of Ant-Man, I guess, would have been... This has been seemed like something that's been going on for the last week or so, because I've seen this more than once, so I didn't know whether it was actually news or not. But the Peyton Reed, who directed the first Ant-Man movie, is in negotiations for the sequel, to direct the sequel. Cool. No screenwriters have been attached, and the movie's supposed to come out in 2018.
All right. The locations for filming of both Ridley Scott's Alien Paradise Lost and Thor Ragnarok, they're both going to be filmed in Australia. And that's exciting that some things are starting to be nailed down for Ragnarok, except for a director. So that's a heck of a thing to tell the director, hey, by the way, you're going to be filming in Australia. Pick up your life for a while,
Indeed, indeed.
Unless they're from there.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, you know, that's Chris Hemsworth trying to stay close to home, right?
Sure. Hey, if you got the clout, why not?
Someone's got to keep an eye on Liam.
Ah!
Guess what? Fans of RoboCop will be excited to know that Clarence Boddicker will be joining the cast of Agent Carter in the second season. According to Hollywood Reporter, he will play Vernon Masters, a veteran of the War Department with a keen understanding of how to work the system.
Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not as Clarence Boddicker.
Yes, he is.
I'm like,
Yes.
wait a second, this is the dude from what's
That's
that called?
No.
Yeah, I want to see
All
somebody's
right.
ass.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay.
So he has had a career playing some pretty not nice people.
Yeah, crotchety people too. Yeah.
Yes. So this would work out quite well.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right. And last but not least, we have some news that dropped, I think, within the last few days. David Goyer has stated that Sci-Fi's Krypton show is set 200 years before the Man of Steel movie.
Which, now that I think about it, I feel like that's been said before, and I don't know why this is news, and I'm not sure why I put it in there. Outside of the fact that I forgot
David Goyer.
Outside of the fact that I forgot Krypton was actually a thing.
Yeah, I kind of forgot Krypton was a thing too.
So there is that. There was one piece of news that I added and took out because it's stupid.
All right, go ahead. Talk about it.
I'll bring it up anyway. Now that I just teased it. Anthony Mackie says, I don't think it's important for Black Panther, the director, to be black. And celebrities should say stupid things, you know, when put in front of a character or whatever. But he's entitled to his opinion. Go for it. He basically says...
I was about to say, you know what, he's probably looking at it from the point of view of as an artist and as a working actor and not looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
And to be fair, he does kind of have a point, but it's a stupid point. You know? I mean, you're telling the story, like, yes, you're right. He doesn't have to be black, but it would be nice for that to be kids, especially for... especially if they are good, and I would hope they would be, for a movie and a story like this. Because let's face it, we have no number of movies that's being done in all different kind of ways. So,
sure enough. Alrighty. So, do we have any other news before we just jump real quick to? We're not going to go through all the solicitations that came out this week, but giving people the heads up that the January solicitations did drop this week, which means that if you're going to be ordering anything on a pull list or from your local comic book shop, take a look at it now. Previews is going to be out very soon so that you can check this off, or you can print this up and give a list to your local comic shop so that you can make sure you pull what you would like in January. And you figure out how to order for you and for the store. Shout out to Dirt and all comic retail.
Before you get to comic book news, let me do the ad read.
Go for it.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Comic Book Chronicles. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Thank you.
Okay, I was like, wait, I don't have the read in front of me. Is it over?
I actually read the show opener one, so if I do the mid talking points 30 to 45 second one also.
Okay.
For you, the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Personally, but y'all, it's like he has instructions in here on what to do, but I'm not supposed to read that. You know, it's there with everything else.
Way to go,
let's
Ron
see.
Burgundy.
Some examples of books you can download and listen to are The Best in the World at What I Have No Idea by Chris Jericho, Wrestling for My Life, The Legend, the Reality, and the Faith of a WWE Superstar by Shawn Michaels, and Jurassic Park 25th Anniversary Edition by Michael Crichton. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Comic Book Chronicles. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Comic Book Chronicles for your free audiobook.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Get that money.
Keep forgetting to can some ad reads. I may have to try that one day.
Same.
All right, so here we are going towards where are we at now?
Comic
book news. Yes, because we are skipping clickbait stuff. I'm discombobulated. Here we go. The first one up is Comic Heroes magazine relaunches with Spider-Man on the cover. I have never seen this magazine before, but
great.
Congratulations to them. Yeah, print versions. That's always in style. But
right.
Basically, it's like this. Well, is it going to be a big blowout book? And it's got just like Miles Morales on the cover. Looks kind of, from the cover wise, it looks pretty cool. So, if you want a print magazine,
So they're
go for it.
relaunching Comic Heroes?
Apparently. Have you heard about that one?
That was a UK-based magazine.
Which makes sense because I think this is might be from a UK-based site. But
All right.
But yeah, it's going to be quarterly, and it looks like it's on sale now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes out in the U.S. It's just, it's one of those that I want to say it's like $10 or $11 when it comes out, and it's usually in a cardboard sleeve with like a poster and maybe a bookmark and stuff mixed in with it.
Yeah.
High-end stuff.
I think it's the same people who do Total Film, which that was a magazine I used to love.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I recognize that.
Yeah. I miss new type.
Yeah, there you go. Comic Heroes. This one came with Watchmen badges, posters, and a mystery comic.
Yikes.
So there you go.
Yikes. All right. So next up in comic book news is Heavy Metal undergoes editorial shift, and Morrison's first issue delayed. So Grant Morrison's inaugural issue as editor-in-chief will be number 280, which debuts in April 2016. The delay is it due to the editorial shift, or is it just okay? So due to health reasons, Heavy Metal managing editor Dan Berger stepped aside, and a new managing editor stepping in, Tim Daniel, will be taking over, and due to that shift, Morrison's issue as editor-in-chief, his first issue as editor-in-chief, is going to be delayed until April 2016.
Yeah. And next we have William Shatner announces comic book imprint project with why is that doing like that?
Stan Lee.
Yeah, with Stan Lee. You know, Shatner's been busy writing stuff off and on in the Star Trek universe. For some reason, we don't know why. No. The imprint will release Stan Lee's latest graphic novel, as well as publish additional works authored by Shatner himself. More details will be announced at Kamikaze Expo 2015 on this November 1st. So we'll hear more about that then.
All right. So what do we have here? Jason Aaron has signed an exclusive deal with Marvel, or re-upped his exclusive deal with Marvel. That's pretty cool. This does not prevent him from putting out some of his creator-owned work, like Southern Bastards. I know that there is a new book that is coming out shortly. But Jason Aaron is a creator behind many key Marvel books, and it is exciting that he is going to stay on for at least the foreseeable future.
Yeah, he's been on fire lately, so
definitely. All right, so now we get to some unfortunately political BS.
Mm-hmm. Oh, why didn't I put? Oh, that probably was the reason why I did that. Captain America. Excuse me. conservatives outraged that new Captain America is as political as the original Captain America. So if you have been around lately, the fine folks, well, the folks at Fox News decided to talk
To read a comic.
Well, I'm still not sure that they actually
read
it. Yeah, I don't know. But they went on a little
rant.
Sure, we'll go with that to be nice. Of saying it's out there. I don't want to go too far into this, but they're basically saying that I don't even know. It's kind of hard to talk about. But basically, they were like, "Hey, this Captain America's all political and it shouldn't be political." And
right, they're attacking conservatives. Some of these characters are analogs for
should be punching
or Republicans.
Exactly, and not knowing the fact that Captain America has always been political in some way, shape, or form. And if you care to go look at the video, go look at the video.
Nah,
it's
not
just
worth it.
Yeah,
save
it's
yourself some
really not.
cells.
They were pretty. You might as well say that they were pretty much. They were defending the Sons of the Serpent, who were the bad guys in the first issue that we talked about. What, last week or week before last? I can't remember.
Right.
And as just America's trying to protect their borders or whatever the case may be, it was very, very stupid. So yeah, there is that. And then of course there's been like 2 or 3 other articles saying, hey, including the one that I should have finished reading, saying, hey, maybe Fox News, maybe you might not want to ride for these people like that if you actually knew what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
All right. So Judge Dredd magazine is celebrating 25 years. Some cool stuff happening. Barry Kitson's going to be contributing to that. Moving on.
Oni Press announces 2 new young adult titles, Lucky Penny and Graveyard Quest.
Okay.
They'll both be coming, March next year, both from 2 different webcomic creators, apparently popular webcomic creators, I guess, looks like. And good on them.
All right. New York Review Comics launches with Bayer, Blutch, Baxter, and more. Wow, that's a heck of a headline there. So the New York Review of Books, or Book, a publication that usually has the word August appended to it, is launching a line of graphic novels with new editions of classic works by Mark Bayer, Blutch, Glenn Baxter, and more. The new imprint is in the tradition of their NYRB Classics line of prose reprints. That's a lot of reading and a lot of writing. If you're interested in this at all, check out our link to the news notes in the link in the at the show site, and I'm sure Roddy's going to be tweeting that out soon.
Sure, or already has probably. But after Secret Wars, Isaac Ribic paints the new Metabarons comic for Humanoids. So Humanoids is a Paris company, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's a. I was about to say it's at least a European company because I know that. Criss Cross is doing some work for human. I call them Inhumanoids because that's what I hear the theme song from.
Criss Cross, like as in the rapper.
The artist.
Oh, okay. So here we go. The Paris.
Not the rapper. The rapper. One of them is dead.
Rest
in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Hey, you never know. No. Anyway, the Paris branch of Humanoids will be at Paris Comic Con this weekend with a big announcement. It's still under wraps, but the word is that Isaac Ribic and Mukesh Singh are working on Metabaron, which is a new comic in the Metabaron series, which is one series I don't know anything about. This will be Isaac's first confirmed work to follow up the yet to be concluded million-selling Secret Wars comic at Marvel.
All right.
He will complete the last 4 issues of the 16-part Metabaron comic book, provided covers and interior art. This is going to be the sequel to The Metabarons, and it starts in October, which I guess will start now, and written by a couple people.
Soon?
Yeah. Sure. Because we got a lot of time left in October.
Sure. All right. So Mark Millar and Stuart Immonen are teaming up for a new book, creator-owned book, entitled Empress at Marvel's Icon imprint. announced today, actually, in the Hollywood Reporter. It's planned to run for three 6-issue arcs, and is slated to debut in April of 2016. All right, and the last news story just went away.
Yep, because it wasn't one for that section.
All right.
So now we are into books. Well, wait, variant cardless, because there actually is at least one. So DC's has 25 comic book variants covers coming up that are supposed to be coloring books. So they're basically, outlined, white outline.
Oh, like color your own?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're going to be printed on that rough stock that usually comes with the blank covers. And it's
like a cardstock. I gotcha.
Right, like a black and white outline of artwork. And then they're also going to be selling a cheap line of colored pencils. So you can buy the variant covers, buy the colored pencils, and color them in yourself.
Or you could use your fancy schmancy art supplies and color them in, really well.
There you go.
Your Copic markers and your liquid water, your watercolor
Coloring
pencils.
them really well depends on a lot more than if you're using markers over colored pencils. There's a little something else involved too.
Talent.
Well.
Bah!
And hey, folks, remember Jackson from the original Marvel Star Wars series? Well, now he's back.
Really?
Sorta.
I have no idea who that is, but okay.
Yeah, he was a rabbit that showed up.
Rabbits!
Yeah, I don't know. I blank out on that part of the of that because I don't remember how much of the original stuff that I read. Either way, Chip Zdarsky, writer of Jughead and artist on various books, and Howard the Duck. Actually, he's also writing.
Right.
Did a variant print for Vader Down, the upcoming Vader Down series. That is, I'm slightly kind of excited for. And I got it up on the screen. It's basically recreating, or seemingly recreating part of Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. If you know at first I was like, this looks like a bunch of butterflies. What's going on here? But yeah, anyway.
Well, if you notice, those are carrots on the steps.
Exactly. Yeah.
Instead of the usual pattern of bars and dots, this is actually carrots.
Clever.
Little green tops.
And of course, speaking of Vader Down, there are more retailer variants that are abound. That one included a few other ones.
All with the variants.
And let's see, I think there's actually a pretty good story about Javier Rodriguez. Talking about his coloring work. That I thought I put it in another section, but I did not. And there's also the exclusive cover for Titan's Hunt, which is a 100-page spectacular. That's pretty good. It's a pretty decent cover.
Did you read the interview with Dan DiDio and Jim Lee?
I glimpsed through it. Too? Yeah, I glimpsed through it a little bit. It's up at the top. Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things they talked about with the variants is how they're going to be
scaling back.
Scaling back, yeah. That there's just too many variants from too many companies right now, and it works sometimes and it doesn't work other times. So they're trying to be. They're going to cut back on doing as many theme months as they have been doing the last couple of years and focus more on variants that are more interesting, I guess is the best term to use. They're doing the upcoming ones with Harley Quinn that are going to be bagged, and you have different variants mixed in the variant SKU, and so you don't know which type you're actually getting until you rip open the bag. So the idea is to have more of a collector's market and trading market with those variants as opposed to just having this random secondary cover that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense that, you would do a variant cover for a special event or something at the very least, or, something's going on, as opposed to just like, it's Wednesday.
All right. Okay, so we're going to jump into
time.
Books. I was about to say, is it time for the ad read?
It is.
There we go.
Let me tell you about Skull Candy. Skull Candy makes the best headphones, earbuds, and gaming headsets, all with lifetime warranties. Skull Candy produces many types of audio accessories, including headphones, sports earbuds, Xbox gaming headsets, PlayStation gaming headsets, DJ headphones, iPod headphones, and MP3 headphones. And now, for listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles, Skull Candy offers free standard shipping on your order. To help keep our podcast free, order from Skull Candy by going to cspn.us. That's cspn.us, then click it on the Keep Our Podcast Free link. Click on the Skull Candy banner and then shop for high-quality audio accessories with free standard shipping. Skull Candy Audio through cspn.us. Do it today.
Might actually do that.
Nice.
Buddy Cat needs some Skull Candy.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of variant covers, before we jump into this week's books, I did pick up the 3 hip-hop variant covers for this week's books. The Astonishing Ant-Man #1, the tribute to Ready to Die. Uncanny Humans #1, the tribute to Aquamini by Damian Scott. And I'm not all that familiar with this cover, but I love that it's done by Kari Andrews. It's the cover to Karnak #1. Love that it's done by Kari Andrews. Not all that familiar with this album, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one either.
I wonder if it's something very recent.
Who knows? Well, I guess right before we get into it again, I brought this up before the show, but I got this big book here. It's called Graphic Ink: The DC Comics Art of Darwin Cook. I haven't chopped into it yet, but this is going to be a good time for this weekend. You know, if you like the art of Darwin Cook, you might want to check into this.
Nice.
At least from what I've seen so far in other places.
Nice.
And of course, my cheap plug for today is for Back to the Future #1. We have the Killen's exclusive cover, only available at KillenEnterprises.com, the official store of the Pop Culture Network. And this one right now, we're selling them for $4.99. If you buy 10 copies, we'll sell them to you at $3.99 a piece, and we'll throw in one of the variant, the 10-in-1 variant covers. What do they call it? The artist edition cover that looks like the actual Blue Line board. So if you want to grab some variants, make sure you stop by KillenEnterprises.com, the official store of the Pop Culture Network.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice. And last but not least, I did pick up one of the variants for this week. I was gonna bring it up during when I talked about the Invincible Iron Man #2, but it's so good. It is Walt Simonson doing old school Thor versus Fin Fang Foom. It's very, very cool. It's very, very cool. Be on the lookout for that. I believe it is a retailer incentive cover.
It is. So it's an upcharge.
Yep. I did pay more for it. I did pay more for it. Dirt, are you going to be talking about the Back to the Future book? Did you read it this week?
Yeah, I did read it. Did anybody else read it?
Nope. You want to start with
let's
that?
get into that right now.
Come on, guys. This
Dude, seriously? Before you start, all I wanted to say is screw you, Back to the Future 2, and your stupid predictions about the Cubs winning the World Series this year, because the New York Mets swept the Cubs right out of the playoffs.
All I'm hearing is sports.
Yeah. Hey, but we got self-lifting shoes and a couple of prototypes of hoverboards, so we're doing all right.
We're getting there. Just, enough with the Cubs.
Enough with sports.
All right, so tell us about the book, Dirt.
All right. Well, this book is actually broken into 2 stories. So you're getting the, origin story of Marty meeting Emmett. So if you've ever wondered how they ended up, it's an unusual pairing, to be sure. They've actually explained why these two were drawn together and started working together. And then the second story is about Emmett Brown during World War II and how they're drafting scientists into the weapons program and how he has all these kooky, crazy ideas and he may just be too crazy for the U.S. Army. And the second story is actually written by Eric Burnham with art by Dan Schoening. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but basically it's the team behind Ghostbusters.
Okay.
They've been working on the Ghostbusters comic for IDW for the last several years. So if you've wondered what that crew has been up to, that team, since we're not getting Ghostbusters right now, they just wrapped up the miniseries with real Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters. They are now working on the Back to the Future comic. So 2 stories for the price of 1. And it's actually funny because I just watched Back to the Future, with my kids for the first time the other day. They'd never, seen it before, and that was one of the questions that came up: is how did these two, how do they even end up together? Because that's the hottest thing. And sure enough, it is one of the things that's answered in this book, and it it makes sense for Back to the Future. Like the book is produced by, was it John Gale? Is that his name? Who
Bob
I guess
Gale.
Bob Gale, who I guess worked on Back to the Future.
Correct.
On the movies.
Yes.
So he's doing with this what they're doing with the Star Trek books, where he's making sure that this fits in with the type of thoughts that they had, the conversations that they had. It fits in the world that they already built. So technically you would say that these are stories that are in canon. But of course, one of the things that they point out in the book is that these are untold tales and alternate timelines. So they always have the ability, because it is that alternate timelines wrinkle is thrown in there. They can always say, oh, well, we went back, we changed time, and that's why it didn't happen this way later on, or whatever. But they give themselves that opening. But for fans of Back to the Future, I think it's definitely it's well done. It's worth picking up and reading, just to experience some more from that world, because it all has that same flavor and it fits. And there are several times throughout the book that they put the DeLorean clock up in the corner. So if you want to know what day it is, like when this is happening in history, it shows that little red LED clock up in the corner, so you know where they are in history as they're telling these different parts of the story. And I thought that was a nice touch, instead of doing like the meanwhile or across town or 48 hours earlier or one of those things. Instead, they put that time travel clock up there so you know where they're at. And that was just a nice little, wink and nod that they threw in there. But definitely, fans of IDW's licensed books, they tend to be some of the best licensed books that are out there nowadays. And this one's no exception. It's worth reading.
Cool.
And if you want to get a special limited edition cover, you can go to KillenEnterprises.com, the official store of the Pop Culture Network.
All right.
Nice. Yeah, I had heard something about that. I think I was watching some other comic podcast yesterday, or not yesterday, Tuesday, and they had mentioned a couple of things about that second story. So I'm kind of curious. All right. So what else we got going on here?
Well, I know that Dirt probably read Justice League number 45 as well. I know Tim read it.
Anybody else read it?
I did read it.
I did not.
Which book we're talking about?
Justice League 45.
I did read it.
So, what'd you think?
I liked it. I enjoyed having Francis Metapool on art for this villain issue. It basically kind of got everyone caught up with how certain members of the Justice League are now new god. I suppose they're new gods.
They're being transformed, right?
Yeah. Superman's the god of strength. Batman was the god of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going off the top of my head.
Flash is the god of death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna remember that part. He's the Death Racer. Shazam is the god of gods or something.
Yeah, that's some silliness right there. Good job, Jeff Johns.
Is that what they actually said? God of gods?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. I remembered. And Luthor, something special happens with him.
He gets the Omega Beam.
Mm-hmm.
He gets Darkseid's
Omega effect.
life.
Yeah.
Anti-life equation, which is basically just a beam out of his eyes, right?
No. The Omega effect is different from the anti-life equation, right?
It all just seems silly to me. Just say those words, say those two phrases over again separately. Anti-life equation. What does that mean?
That's some DC mumbo jumbo right there.
That's the whole thing right there.
You can thank Jack Kirby for this.
Yeah.
And then Omega effect. Okay, it's a cool name. What does that mean?
I love it. That's awesome.
But besides that,
I mean, if you don't like Jack Kirby, I mean, I get it.
I probably don't.
Listen, not all of Kirby's stuff was comprehensible. You know what I mean? Not all of Kirby's work was comprehensible. We can't, we're not here to lionize every piece of work that
I think to
Kirby
be
produced.
fair, a lot of times when he dealt with the New Gods and the Fourth World stuff, the idea was that, kind of like with Cthulhu, the idea is you're not supposed to understand parts of it. It's supposed to be beyond mortal reckoning. You're not.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, you're not there to have a grip on everything, but at least you can follow the story, and the story still has that big epic feel.
Right.
That's one of the things we talked about last time with this book, is that this feels like the number one team of the biggest heavy hitters ever assembled fighting one of the biggest fights, in the history of the universe. I mean, that's what Justice League is supposed to be there for, and that's what, when you're bringing in Darkseid, and you're bringing in the Anti-Monitor, and you're bringing in all this Fourth World stuff, it makes it feel much bigger than just, giant robot monster attacking Metropolis. And so I really like the scope of it, and I like how the characters separated, and there's all these different things going on at the same time, and yet I don't feel lost like with these characters. A lot of times, with the way a team is broken up, you get back to certain characters after an issue, and you forget, wait, what was going on with these guys? What was happening here? But yet you get back to Superman and Lex Luthor, and it's like I remember exactly what was happening last issue with those two. I remember what was happening with Batman and Green Lantern. Like, this is just, it's well paced and well plotted to keep everything, juggled and balanced together, and I really appreciated the story. And there's
I was going to say, just Jeff Johns does a great job of touching on each subplot. Every subplot is advanced in this issue. There's nothing sort of left behind, and we're left in a good spot, with a nice cliffhanger for the next issue.
And I just realized while I was sitting here talking, looking at this cover, that if you look very closely, there's a subtle spoiler right on the cover. And it just came to me a second ago that if you look at the head of Darkseid, right on his chin, that's not his armor. That's the armor of Lex Luthor.
Right.
That's the Lex Luthor symbol, and Lex Luthor, of course, gets the Omega Beam from Darkseid. And I guess, does everybody know what happens with Darkseid in this issue? Is that a spoiler? Or
actually happened last issue? It
did happen last issue, but I'll ring it.
Because I don't know if it's really clear last issue, but Darkseid is dead. And so that's one of the things.
Do we really need to do that?
What happens? What happens to the universe when one of the biggest forces of evil in the universe suddenly dies, and there's a power vacuum now suddenly, and on Apocalypse, and the Omega Beam. That was another question: is what happens with the Omega Beam? And of course, we saw later it ended up with Lex Luthor, who lied because apparently Superman was the one who was supposed to get the power because he was one who could contain it, and Lex Luthor lied and took his spot, which is another classic, mythology story that you get where stealing someone's inheritance or claiming to be the king or whatever type of deal. That's Lex Luthor playing into that storyline right there, saying he's the one. Yes, I'm the guy from Kansas who grew up on a farm, who came from simple parents. That's me. Give me this power. Let's see what's going to happen. So, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done.
No, it's good. It's just
first issue that didn't focus on Wonder Woman as sort of like the narrator of the story.
And you appreciate less Wonder Woman?
No, actually, I liked having Wonder Woman as the focal point of the story so far. Sort of different than your typical Justice League story.
I was going to say something about the cover.
Go ahead.
Say it.
Oh, I was about to say, there's something wrong with that cover. Mr. Miracle's in chains. That doesn't ever happen. He's supposed to be able to
He's an escape artist.
Right.
Well, no, he gets chained up, but then he always escapes.
Right.
That's the thing.
It's an eventual it's part of the process. It's part of the process. So I like this. I still don't find myself caring too much about what is happening to the members of the Justice League.
What happened to Captain Cold?
I beg your pardon?
I said, what happened to Captain Cold?
Oh, I don't know. I forgot he was around.
Pre-break for Convergence.
Isn't he trying to track down Luther's sister or something?
Maybe.
Alrighty.
Anyway.
Well, since we're on DC, y'all got any other DC stuff for us?
No, I think that's
Yeah.
the one DC book I read.
I should have read a couple more. Let me
Oh, you
see.
read Doomed.
Oh yeah, I did. Where's my list? So I was just thinking I might get Doomed. I may get the trade paperback for Doom if there ever is one made once this series is done. It's still one of the more fun books for me at DC right now. Superman guest stars Clark Kent, depowered Superman.
Okay.
He's trying to
Oh, so
investigate.
it's not the one on the cover.
No, because there's at the beginning of the story, the first like page or two does like a flashback to him fighting Doom, but that's the only cape wearing Superman you see in the story.
Hmm.
It's Superman t-shirt and jeans investigating first at Star Labs and then tracking down Riser and trying to warn him about how dangerous the spores of Doomsday being in your body can be. And he was saying how it took him being one Kryptonian and two flying into the heart of the sun to vaporize all the Doomsday spores off his body to get rid of the virus. He says he wants to help Riser, but of course he says it in one of those threatening ways where it sounds like he's going to take him to Star Labs to be experimented on during an autopsy. So of course Riser sucker punches him. They get in a fight.
Of course.
Actually, it's not even that much of a fight. Riser's roommate, who is the Alpha Centaurian, how do you say it? He shows up and takes over his roommate's body because he senses a foul creature is nearby. And it had me thinking how much fun it would be to see Alpha Centaurian in like a cartoon or a TV show or something, just because he sounds like he talks like Thor, so that's always, he's cocky and he says that "thou" a lot. He shows up, they get in a little scuffle, Superman breaks him up, and then the issue ends with this other Doomsday-looking, humongous, like building-sized creature appearing. So I guess it'll be a three-man team-up next issue to take that thing on. But I really enjoy Javier Fernandez's art. I see when this series ends, he's gonna hop over to Red Hood Arsenal, do some art with that. And I did. It took me a while to notice it, but on the January 2016 solicits for Teen Titans, Doom is on the cover. It's like it has all the Teen Titans members on it, with like Robin in the center because it's like the aftermath of Robin War. They're like, can the team survive? But
You know why? Because
there's Doom on the cover. Scott Lobdell writes
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, he does write. Well, actually, he co-writes some every now and then on Teen Titans because Will Pfeiffer is actually the writer. But like for this issue of Teen Titans that Dirk just put up, Scott Lobdell is co-writer.
Did you read this Teen Titans?
I got halfway through it.
And you threw it away in disgust, or?
No, because I originally wanted to try to read Titans Hunt, but I had that Teen Titans issue on my iPad, so it made it easier to read that while I was eating my dinner.
I got you.
And I've got the physical copy of Titans Hunt here that I was reading. Thank you, DC.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and I guess Scott Lobdell is also writing Red Hood and Arsenal, so it makes sense to bring Javier Fernandez over to that as well. Even though I enjoy Dennis Midry's art on that. I'm becoming a Scott Lobdell fan. People don't know what's going on.
We'll fix that.
I love it.
Yeah. So Doomed. I'm not sure how many. I forget how many issues it has left. I guess it goes up through December, so 2 issues left, I believe.
Okay.
But I like it. I may try to get it in trade.
Nice.
Good. I did read Martian Manhunter, and this introduces another aspect of Martian Manhunter. If you've been reading the series, if you know anything about it, basically there's an oncoming Martian invasion, and Manhunter realized that he was the key to this invasion, so he made it appear that he obliterated himself, but really he cut himself up into these different pieces, these different aspects, and he's been hiding out on Earth as different characters. And they're starting to, all the different pieces are starting to come together so that they can mount in some sort of offensive against the Martian invasion that's coming to Earth. We got more of Mr. Biscuits, so this made me happy. We got another goofball character added to the mix. We found out that another character we've been looking at is another part of Martian Manhunter. We got some more clues as to how the Martian powers work in public, how some of their telekinesis and their telepathy and some of the mind control stuff works. So I always enjoy, how they explain the powers by just using them, as opposed to having someone, sitting down somewhere explaining to someone how the certain powers work, or doing voiceovers. Instead, you just see it happening. So I enjoyed that part of the storytelling that's being done here. But again, this is a book that's the basic plot is pretty simple. But the characters that are being used, the dialogue, the quirky way that they interact with each other is part of the charm of the book. Like, it's very hard to describe some of the things about the book because of the way that it just unfolds and the way the characters interact. And I still go back to what I said before, that this feels like an early Vertigo title. This feels that same, mind-bending style of storytelling where you know what's going on, but you're never 100% sure of what's going on, just because you're dealing with shapeshifters and people that can play with thoughts and perceptions. And it's just a fun book, and it's got Mr. Biscuits, so that's my new favorite character of all time.
Hear, hear. I haven't read this issue yet, but I have been enjoying Martian Manhunter.
And I'm really surprised, because it's one of those books that I remember I picked up the first one just because, it's the first book, I might as well read it and see how it is. And compared to some of the other books that I had high hopes for, I really didn't know what to expect from this, and I've enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. But it's definitely one that's outside of the regular, mainstream comic arena. It doesn't really fit in with Batman books and Superman books and that kind of stuff. It's really on its own, doing its own thing, which I enjoy.
Cool.
I say from DC, I did read the Superman Wonder Woman. This is the issue that was hinted at earlier this year, I think right after Convergence, when they were showing scenes from the upcoming year of DC books, and one of the shots was Superman telling Wonder Woman that he didn't know if he really loved her anymore, and that is what happens in this one. But it sounds like such a soap opera line, but it's really not the way it's played out in this issue. It's really more about how he's, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's just the way that he feels kind of inadequate where he's at right now.
He's underpowered.
Yeah. And the way he feels like he has to deal with stuff because it's his problem and he needs to understand it, and he doesn't really want other people being pulled into it, being affected by it. So that's more of where it comes from, as opposed to being some sort of, you hear that line, I'm not sure if I love you anymore, and you expect like the organ to come up, Oh, you
mean this one?
Yeah. Oh, it cut out on me. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, same here.
There it goes.
Of course.
But anyway, if you haven't been reading it, there's no reason to pick up this particular issue. If you have been reading it, this is the one you were kind of waiting for based on those hints that we saw in the past. It doesn't really... I don't know if this series is really going to last too much longer because it's not written as a book to draw in new readers. It's written as a book to flesh out certain aspects of the storyline that's not getting covered in Action and Superman, you know? So I don't know that it's really going to hold out too much longer, but it's at least an interesting addition if you're reading Superman in Action right now.
All right.
That's all I really
More
got.
DC?
Yeah.
I was about to say, that's a lot of DC out this week. I thought,
I haven't finished Titan's Hunt, so I can't speak too much on it. Except that I believe I'll be enjoying the limited series, especially like trying to bring together the pre-New 52 members of the Teen Titans minus Wally West. I guess because it's as if Donna Troy's new post or New 52 origin isn't convoluted enough as it is, but yet she's included. But
listen,
yeah.
convoluted origin and Donna Troy go together like peanut butter and jelly. So
Like
like peas and carrots.
We jump around from Roy Harper, aka Arsenal, to Dick Grayson, member of Spiral, to glimpse at Donna Troy, to was it Mal Duncan, Tempest, Garth from Atlantis, and there's a character that's linking them all together. So interesting read.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to give this a read, even though I'm not.
I want the Teen Titans section of the DC universe to take off. It has so much potential. And like I don't know what's going on in Teen Titans if you go back to, like I said, I read half of the issue for this week, but this whole thing with Superboy being brought back in, even Superboy's all convoluted with his New 52 history, and like I enjoyed what Aaron Kuder and Jorge Jimenez did at the finale of Superboy's individual title, but I guess I read that a year ago. I can barely remember what happened. I just remember there was multiple Superboys from all different dimensions in it, and I thought our Superboy died, but apparently he didn't because he's back again, and he murdered a bunch of Durlans, who are some alien race in the Green Lantern section of the universe, and I don't know.
But they were also,
that says it all, doesn't it?
They were key in the Legion of Superheroes too, but the Legion of Superheroes has all but disappeared from the DC universe at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one thing I was thinking about this the other day, that DC has this horrible habit of, they introduce these characters, and these are great characters and key characters that you have to know, and you have to read these books. You have to be familiar with Batwing and Pandora and
Pandora.
And then the Red Lanterns. The Red Lanterns are a big part of the DC universe, and then those individual books get canceled. Hawk and Dove. Remember they had a New 52 series?
Yeah, they're supposed to be tied in with Titan's Hunt too, I guess.
Yeah,
and then
I flipped through. I saw.
The book gets canceled, and you never see or hear from these characters again. You know.
I think about that a lot too, because like even some of the Wildstorm characters, like what I guess Grifter was in, was it whatever the weekly book last year, World's End, Future's End.
Aye.
But like I feel like he could be utilized in books more as like a guest
he had
star.
a series too. He had a.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had his own book, but
then it got canceled.
Let some of these guys, like, I guess that was my hope with Doomed, but I guess hopefully he'll be in Teen Titans going forward.
What they need to create a book, call it Legends of Tomorrow, just like the TV series, but use it for these other characters that are just not quite strong enough for their own book. But if you work them as a team, they may actually, pan out. Hawkman was another character, had his own book, big part of the DC universe, and then he appeared in Justice League United, I think it was, for a while, and then just disappeared.
You gotta feel like that's probably gonna happen.
United feels like that should be United. Justice League United feels like the Legends of Tomorrow book, but it's getting canceled too. So maybe to make way for Legends of Tomorrow. But DC doesn't really do the cross promotional. Let's have the comics and TV/movies be in sync. They just kind of do each
Well, yeah,
subset does its own thing.
and
I
because
mean,
it's
the
hard
Arrow and the Flash books are kind of they're in the world of the TV show. But yeah, I guess you're still right on that.
it's hard to take a TV show that suddenly starts from day zero and have it merge in with a comic book for a character who's got, at this point in the New 52, that has, what, 7 years of history?
Right.
8 years of history of the New 52, because there's 5 years before the relaunch, and then we've had, several years since the reboot. So, I mean, you can't just grab somebody and say, oh, hey, this is the same version that you see on TV, even though everything else is different. It's the same name, so we're going to say it's the same universe,
I was gonna say, what was I about to say? I've lost my train of thought.
Blame the meds.
It was something good too.
Blame the Mets.
No, I said the meds. The meds.
What were we talking about? We were talking about New 52 and
Legends of Tomorrow.
We're talking about Lumpy.
Supergirl debuts next week on CBS, and she doesn't even have a book.
Didn't they put like a #1, like a reprint #1 this week, Dirt?
They did. They did a special edition, a $1 reprint, kind of like Marvel's been doing with the True Believers line of reprints. It was a $1 reprint. I think there were only like 2 ads, and they were for the TV show maybe, or for some trades. And that was all. It felt very thin, It didn't have all that extra stuff in it. And it was only $1. So if you were interested in the character and you at least wanted to grab something to just say, hey, the TV show's on, I better go grab a Supergirl comic, because they have something on the stands with the TV show logo.
Did you try to promote it?
We got a handful of them, but it's one of those things, because it's $1. You can't really sell it online like the other books, because $1 book you pay so much in fees from PayPal and eBay and everything that you end up getting almost nothing for selling it online. So we got a stack of them for the store.
That's what I mean.
And, I mean,
so you got a stack of them for the store. So
we have a stack of all the $1, the True Believer stuff and that stuff, and whatever promotional type stuff comes in. We just have a little spot where they go in there, but.
I mean, are you trying to promote the Supergirl, or at least, let customers know about the show? Because I believe to a certain extent, it's still kind of fallen under the radar.
It's more along the lines of people watch the TV shows. There are people that still walk into our store and go, oh, they do a comic based on The Walking Dead?
Right.
That's more of the crowd that we have, probably because of our location and where we are in town. We do have subscribers, but we have a lot more of
the walk-ins.
People. Yeah, because we're in a strip mall, so we get a lot more of the people that are just kind of walking by. They're going into Dollar General and they're getting milk and bread, and then they're seeing Batman in our window. Like, oh, what's this place over here? Like, oh, they do comics based on Green Arrow. I like that TV show. Yeah, they've been doing this for a while. I had one guy actually came into the store last week and he picked up a comic book and he goes, oh, is the price for this comic the price that's printed on the front of the book? I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, that's where they put the price. He's like, oh, how long have they been putting the price right on it like that?
Wow.
Like, I don't know, since 1926 when they started printing comics. Like, that's kind of their thing.
That dude's just messing with you.
No, I mean, he was an older.
Oh, okay.
Fella.
He still might have been just messing with you, but anyway.
But we do get more people who are familiar with the pop culture aspects, and then they come in and they see the comic as tie-ins to the TVs and movies, not
the other way around.
Yeah.
Right. Understood. All right. So, what else did y'all read?
Anybody read Marvel stuff this week?
Yes. There's a lot of it out this week.
Only a couple things were good, though.
I would, I always want to say that's accurate, but I can't really.
I had a couple of good, of the stuff that I read. I liked, a few of them. I'll tell you that I was pleasantly surprised by Astonishing Ant-Man #1.
Oh yeah, just
pleasantly surprised because this was good, and this was good prior to Secret Wars, and It basically, incorporates the 8-month jump in time and advances some of the stories that had been kind of left off in the previous volume before Secret War. So I was definitely pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Basically, it's, I hate to have to reestablish everything that happened in the first volume, but Scott Lang has moved to Miami, and he's gone there to be closer to where Cassie, his daughter, is, and he set up Ant-Man Security Solutions to kind of make some dough and make a living, and some shenanigans ensue based on his enmity that he's developed with Darren Cross and Cross Technologies. One of the funny things about, I think, the latest all new, all different books is that they're really incorporating a lot of the current day-to-day tech that we use. Well, one of the things that comes up in Spidey is the new Amazing Spider-Man is the Apple Watch or the iWatch, and then what comes up in this one is just apps in general. And this introduction of an app that I thought was pretty clever on the part of Nick Spencer. So I don't want to spoil too much. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this book, and it's a sleeper candidate for Click of the Week.
Oh, come on, let's spoil at least a little bit of it.
All right, go ahead.
So, okay, the app is
I'll ring
called
the bell. I'll ring the bell.
Well, it might not be that bad of a spoiler, but so Power Broker is back. If you know who that is, he comes to the Darren Cross, who now has the PIM particles from Cassie's heart, who, as of last volume, stole Cassie, tried to get her heart, and got it apparently, because I totally forgot about that part.
Mm-hmm.
Cassie hates Scott now. That whole thing is going on, as opposed to the ex-wife who was the one hating him. So Dan Cross is back. He's now back in control of the company. His son's a weirdo.
I'm putting it lightly.
Yeah. So Power Broker comes with this app called Hinch, which basically, if you know the name, I mean,
short for henchman.
Yeah, right. But basically, it's basically hiring a henchman to do some dirty work for you. And I guess the Power Broker is making an example of the app while he's in this meeting by sending Whirlwind to fight Ant-Man while he's trying to secure a job with the lady that
well, he's looking for. I was about to say
business.
What's funny about this app is that, and I'm ringing the spoiler bell for a reason. Granted, you have to be of a certain vintage to recognize this reference I'm about to drop. But when the Power Broker was describing the app, and one of the aspects of the app that involves picking a henchman or villain that can counter counter of it was the Acts of Vengeance app.
Right.
Right?
Pretty much, yes.
So, when I read this, I kind of laughed, and I thought to myself, well, this is Acts of Vengeance, but with apps. So it was pretty funny.
So is Loki behind this?
No, but it was.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, we don't know yet, but I thought it was pretty funny when I read the when Spencer's talking about the advantages of using this app, that it struck me as a concept straight. It was the Acts of Vengeance concept.
Yeah, I thought it was clever. You just brought that
I did
back.
too. Like I said, it was a surprise sleeper candidate for Click of the Week.
Yeah.
Oh, and Matt Wang 97 has said that my hench profile is hashtag Sun Knight. So
bringing that back.
Exactly. That's one of those concepts that we're going to have to put on paper at some point.
I did go back at one point and start reading the other Ant-Man series. I think I'm on issue 4, and there were 5 or 6.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't. I want to read this, but I want to finish that other series. I've got an issue or 2 to go before I get to it. But it was definitely something on my radar that I'll be checking out.
Yeah, it was a fun book to read.
It's fun. It's surprisingly
still there.
fun. Yeah.
Surprisingly
and at the
fun.
end of this,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and Dirk, actually, like it won't be much of a bridge. It's just a very brief adjustment period. Figuring out how you get from the end of the first volume to this one. So don't be surprised that you just basically read it like it was just the next issue.
Right.
And I guess I will say that. Well, I was going to just go out and say it, but at the end of the issue, Scott's status changes.
Yeah.
Has changed, let's say.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it also talks about wasn't that something that happened in the 8 months?
Well, it says now, so yeah, it said now, so presumably, because basically the whole story is I guess was 8 months in, but he was still in a flashback, pretty much. Because then at the end of the issue, it was like, well, and here I am now.
Right. So it's an interesting premise to start the book off in a new volume.
Mm-hmm.
I touched on this earlier. Amazing Spider-Man #2. I'm enjoying this particular version of Spider-Man. Slott is, expanding on the latest developments in Peter Parker's life, which is Parker Industries. As I was saying earlier, some of the developments in the current level of technology is being incorporated into these all different books, namely the Apple Watch or the iWatch. Spidey takes care to differentiate his, or Peter Parker takes care to differentiate his invention. One, he's named it WebWare, and two, he's claiming it's far, far superior to the iWatch. But we have a guest appearance by the Prowler, Hobie Brown, who is head of security for Parker Industries, and basically they're on a mission to retrieve Peter Parker's webware that he basically voluntarily surrendered to the Zodiac, and the Zodiac is for some reason targeting Parker Industries, and what they're trying to do is find out why. Without spoiling too much, it turns out that there is a larger plan in play that involves S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as Parker Industries. And we have I believe it's the debut of the Spidey sub.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yes. The Spidey sub?
The Spidey sub. It's kind of funny.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
All 70s are back up in here again.
Yeah, it's the Spidey sub. I liked it. Listen, it's not stressed. It's not used for comic relief. Let's put it that way. It's just like a cool gadget.
I don't know. I'm just waiting for the Spidey Dune buggy to reappear.
Wait, didn't that already happen?
Well, he had the Spider-Mobile from the first issue, which was like a race car.
No. I want the actual Dune buggy with the roll bar.
Wasn't that part of Spider-Verse? Or
it very well could have been. I didn't read it.
I think it was. It was part of Spider-Verse. It was part of. It might be part of Web Warriors. Who knows? Coming up.
There goes that shark jumping.
Yeah, right. But I'm enjoying this particular version of Spider-Man that Slott has concocted, and I like that he's a little bit more tech-based, even more so than he has been in previous books, from Brand New Day going forward. He really is at this point a poor man's Tony Stark. He's kind of a cross between a poor man's Tony Stark and a Bruce Wayne.
Okay, sure.
Because you don't see Iron Man building, cars and boats and stuff, but Spidey needs it. So, what do you think about this, Tim? I know you read it.
I like the first issue. I like this one even more. I said in my notes that Dan Slott was he had the quips going in this issue.
Yeah, lots of banter, right?
Yeah.
Jokes, especially amongst the henchmen.
Zodiac's,
even the henchmen were dropping jokes.
Zodiac's henchmen they were like a comedic, each pairing was a comedic duo.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed Giuseppe Camuncoli's art. I liked the little swerve at the end where it seemed like Spider-Man had failed, but not really.
Right.
It turned a negative into a positive. And we don't see too much of his supporting cast in this issue. It's mostly just Prowler and uh, Shield agents being Nick Fury Jr. and Mockingbird.
Right.
I enjoy her. I like her new
The
outfit,
look,
by
right?
the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was about it.
Did you like the Spidey sub?
Yeah, I ain't give it too much thought. He has, he's Spider-Man and he's got a bunch of tech now. Oh, I got confused about there's one of Spider-Man's robes is shown, I guess, near the end.
Right.
And I guess even earlier in the issue, he like flashes back to a certain point in time, and I wasn't sure what that was or what was going on there.
All that happened right before. That was Ends of the Earth.
Yeah, I thought so. Was that Silver
Yeah.
Sable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I didn't understand that portion.
They did. They flashed back to Ends of the Earth just before Ock, took over Peter Parker's mind. They flash back to, they basically reintroduced, spoiler alert, a classic Spidey villain that was thought to be deceased, or at least very, very much missing, and he's reintroduced here in all new, all different, and we're left with a cliffhanger that's kind of confusing. If you take a look at some of the body language that's on that last page, I think that definitely helps to tell much more of the story than what we're led to believe is happening. So, if anyone is interested in kind of a real creepy cliffhanger, take a look at this book and take a look at the end and try to figure out where this might be going and who the character is that might be pulling, who the character might be that's pulling the strings behind this particular reappearance of this villain.
Agreed.
Let's see here. Who read Karnak?
I did.
I did too, and I liked it.
It was an offbeat issue that read a lot like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. book. Believe it or not.
I was not very thrilled.
Really? Tell us why.
Well, first of all, the issue is very slow-paced. The entire book feels like it could have been 8 pages, but instead it was a lot of drawn-out shots of a monastery and doors and a wall and someone walking and stairway and there was just a lot of stuff where he's, I guess you got to build atmosphere, sure, but the whole book felt that way, that everything was just long and drawn out. Karnak is not a very likable character.
Right.
He's a nihilist, and so after a while you just feel like you're reading some like goth fanboy fan fiction. It got real old real quick.
It's weird because the Karnak that we knew pre getting killed and pre-resurrection, we're not spoiling anything here by saying this, but the Karnak that we knew was always very philosophical, very much like the kung fu character of the Inhumans. And in this iteration of Karnak, what we have is someone who is dealing with his resurrection and much deeper issues than he ever dealt with before, and has found a calling. And the calling is helping some of these new humans or newly created Inhumans kind of, I guess, cope and learn to control their new Inhuman abilities. And that's, he's approaching it much more from a deeper philosophical standpoint than maybe Gorgon would, and we'll get into that when we talk about Uncanny Inhumans #1.
The other thing was the art left me confused in a couple spots.
I agree with that. I sympathize with you on that.
Yeah, someone shoots a gun, and he looks at it, and he stares at it, and he thinks about it, and he contemplates it, and then he moves his hand, and something happens, and then it looked like instead of one bullet, there were two bullets falling to the ground, and I was like, what? Like,
He
I
split
don't
it in
understand.
half.
He split it.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It's like I read it like 3 or 4 times trying to figure out what exactly was going on, and then you read on, and he explains that he chopped the bullet in half. But looking at the artwork, it's like that's not clear with the way it's drawn. It was just an unusual sequence. And then Coulson, I guess, is the one who fires behind him and shoots at the guy, and that whole action exchange just came across as really, I don't know, it just didn't work. Like,
Yeah, I think the layouts probably don't help a lot of the don't really tell the best action sequences in this. I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, it's by no means the worst thing I read this week, and it's, you know, I'm not telling people to throw it in the outhouse when they run out of paper. I'm just saying that overall, I expected a little more out of the book for
Warren Ellis writing it.
Yeah, it's like, this is Warren Ellis, and this is this Marvel character, and this is the all new, all different. You got to read it, and then I read it, and I was like, whatever.
I don't know. Skimming through it, it seems like it has shades from his Moon Knight run, because he kind of plotted some stuff out in a not exactly similar way, but like a couple of beats here and there.
I like
the
that
way it was
comparison.
paced.
I like that comparison. I didn't think of it that way, but I agree with you on that, Roddy. It does. It is somewhat reminiscent of the way Ellis probably plotted out a good chunk of that Moon Knight run. Those kind of standalone issues.
Mm-hmm. But it does go back to that. You know, it's definitely written for the trade, not for the monthly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a whole lot of story in this book for how many pages it is. So. You know.
Well, I don't know if I completely agree with that, because I think what they do is they set up the premise, and they set up a task for him, you know, some sort of story arc for Karnak to follow. So I think it's definitely written as an arc. I don't know if it's completely a trade arc yet. I don't know if this is going to last over 6 issues or if it's going to be a 3-issue story. But you know, I think that they did a pretty effective job of setting up Karnak's new status quo as this more philosophical teacher, you know, on the side of the Inhumans as opposed to Gorgon.
So, question:
Shoot,
has his resurrection been spoken of, dealt with before, or am I missing something? Or has it not been? Has it not been?
No. They actually, he basically found a weakness, because that's his power. You know, they go into that as also. He basically found a weakness in how he died, or I forget exactly what it was, but yeah, it was pretty pretty funny.
He cheated death.
Yeah. He jumped out a window in a skyway. Matter of fact, I think it was Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how? Okay, never mind.
But he got out of the afterlife because lineage. I guess he somehow related to lineage, and since lineage can like access his ancestors, and they like their facial features pop up on his body, he somehow like leapt out of his mouth.
That's right. Now I remember. Thanks for.
So he photocopied a copy of Karnak out of himself. Is what you're saying?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Right. That works.
Sure. All right.
That's funny.
Hey,
Dirt,
guys.
I was going to say, Dirt, has anyone built their own Invincible Iron Man yet?
Oh, yeah.
No, because we only qualified for one bundle of like right legs or something. Each bundle for building an Iron Man required you to qualify for sales goals of different books. So one of the stores in town got heads and an arm. We got, I think, a leg. I mean, it was just, maybe if you travel around, you can get enough pieces, but stores in our area, no store got all the pieces for building an Iron Man.
Gotcha. All right. Okay.
So anyway.
Speaking of Iron Man,
I was gonna say there was an Iron Man book this week.
right? Speaking of Iron Man, Invincible Iron Man #2 came out this week. It's the follow-up to the kind of shocking revelation that, spoiler alert, Victor Von Doom is going to be playing a major role in the first story arc in Iron Man. Anyone else read it?
Nope.
I did.
I
What did
did.
you think, Jerry?
It was fine.
Did you read the first issue?
Yeah. This
Okay.
is actually my son loves Iron Man, so he and I have been reading this series together, and I don't know.
The art's nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a very pretty book. It's a
Yes.
well put together book. The colors are great.
Martinez,
The artwork
yeah.
is great. All of that. I said to my son, I was like, okay, well, Doctor Doom seems like a good guy in this one. What do you think? And he goes, well, maybe Doom's just trying to do the right thing. And I said, well, why would Doom do the right thing now when he has done the wrong thing for so long? And he sat there for a minute and he looked at me and he goes, well, so Iron Man will trust him, and then when Iron Man's not looking, he can kablam pow him from behind.
Nice.
And I go, yeah, that's probably accurate.
That's a bright kid right there. Good
But
job.
we don't know what'll happen because Secret Wars hasn't ended yet. As to
Right.
why Doom is now different.
Right.
And
And we're
we're
at,
in for 2.5 months.
right. I was about to say, we're all dealing with this now. The kind of uncomfortable reading, kind of being spoiled, or at least possibly spoiled to some of the events of Secret Wars. But publishing schedules being what they are.
Well, hey, maybe Doom having all that power doing Secret Wars the first 2 times, you finally got a way to get part of it to stick.
Right. And we also have the return of classic Iron Man villain / paramour, Madame Mask, and there's an interesting cliffhanger in this issue in their encounter. That result, that comes as a result of their encounter.
I felt like there should be more, since it deals with like magic items and whatnot. This should have been a Doctor Strange story than Iron Man.
Well, I think that's the rub.
Put
The
your
rub-
character in a different situation.
Exactly.
It's an Acts of Vengeance tie-in.
Yeah.
And Doom's pretty well versed in magic, so I assume it still goes.
What's old is new again, fellas.
Yeah.
Man, now I'm gonna have to read Acts of Vengeance stuff this week.
Acts of Vengeance was really good.
I like
it was-
Acts of Vengeance. That was one of the
Acts
best.
of Vengeance was good, yeah.
effects, man.
Well, I remember that came out when I was in middle school, I think, and I remember reading it and thinking, well, that was fun, I liked it, and then later, talking to all the people who were 10, 15 years older than me and how they all hated Acts of Vengeance and how it was the
Really?
dumbest thing ever, and yeah.
No, man, I loved it because I think that was at the same time the Vengeance Mansion got taken over, and that whole siege happened.
Because that's one of those things, Marvel put together like an omnibus for it, but they don't do any trades of it, and I think only about half the books from Acts of Vengeance are available digitally.
All right.
So it's one of those that it's there, and they'll admit it's there, but they don't talk about it much.
Right. I remember Acts of Vengeance. I might have been like late middle school, early high school when that came out, but so there's some great stuff in Acts of Vengeance. That is the introduction of Asian Psylocke.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Thinking back, one of the references in this issue of Invincible Iron Man is from Acts of Vengeance, or right before Acts of Vengeance with Merlin, Doom, and Iron Man going back to the time of Merlin. That was either part of Acts of Vengeance or right before.
It was right before it. No, that was like a standalone trade, wasn't it? Like a graphic
No.
novel.
It was like
No,
issue
it's like a
250 of the series.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's what I said last time. Iron Man, the first book, because whenever Doom and Iron Man would meet, it was always only like a 50th issue or a 100th issues type of stuff, and
Right.
usually had to do with the time platform or something, or in that one case, Merlin.
So
Right,
man,
right.
Acts of Vengeance coming up all over the place now.
Yeah.
That may be the next one. I mean, Secret Wars came back. You never know. The big crossover for 2016 might be Acts of Vengeance.
Yeah.
That's
Which I
funny.
probably wouldn't have a problem with. But then again, we also got Captain Universe Spidey out of that.
We did.
Mm. It was a weird time on that one, but it was good stuff.
That was Magneto versus Spidey. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because remember he put the Sentinel together and
yeah, that was definitely high school then. I remember that. That was early high school.
So everybody, I think Loki did or someone did. Yeah.
Get in your DeLorean and let's go back to 1989 and Sorry Next Vengeance.
That's funny. I don't have to go back that far. I can just go down into the comic book boxes and pull that stuff out.
I think I have a lot of them. Yeah, of whatever I was reading at the time. So.
All right. So, did anyone read any of the Secret Wars books that came out this week? 1872 #4 or Weird World #5?
I read 1872.
So very quickly, we have the resolution to this Wild West story based in Timely. Red Wolf is able to I guess successfully bring this version of the Kingpin to justice, sort of.
Oh no, it's final. Yeah,
right. It's a form of final justice. Shout out to Marvel vs. Capcom and Captain America. There's some cool little teases here for the next version of 1872, or I guess the next iteration of Red Wolf, because we're left with what might happen post, what happens after the events of this issue.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, even the last line was like, "The Avengers of the West will continue."
Right. We even have the aftermath of something that this version of Bruce Banner does, and a certain
potential Parker.
Exactly, I was about to say, in a certain appearance of a wall crawler. So, or the possible origin in this version of the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone read Weird World #5?
Crickets.
No?
I plan on reading it, but
dude,
I think I'm gonna throw them all together. I'm gonna put them all together and read it.
Weird World #5. Read Weird World. The art in this is beautiful. Jason Aaron has told such a cool story. There's a great riff on Conan in this, and it's related to the line about what is best in life. I'll leave it at that. All right, but what we have here is Archon on his never-ending quest to find Polemarchus. He finds Polemarchus, doesn't quite reach there. We find Archon kind of at wit's end, and he's spurred into further action because the Baroness of Weird World, Morgan Le Fay, has arrived, and there's something that resembles a final showdown between Morgan Le Fay, her forces, and the denizens of Weird World, led by Archon. One of the characters that appeared before in a bag of crystal has appeared not in a bag of rocks anymore, as a bag of rocks anymore, and that was really cool. Spoiler alert. So I'll leave it at that. I think Roddy wants to read this. I don't want to spoil everything.
That's fine.
So I'll leave it at that. But there's a lot of fun, and it definitely leads into the next iteration of Weird World, which is going to be the ongoing series that's coming out in the near future. So we do have a direct continuation at the end of this book from this miniseries into the ongoing.
So there is kind of a transition from
There's
this
a bridge,
series to
yes.
the next?
There is a bridge. There is a bridge.
Interesting.
It's similar to the way Old Man Logan ended. You know how Old Man Logan kind of provided a mechanism for the miniseries to continue on into an ongoing. So there's something there, and it's a lot like I said. This book is a surprisingly good read. I'm pleasantly surprised by this. There's another sleeper I had a lot of. I didn't have like a one standout book. I'm gonna be debating my click of the week this week, but I had a bunch of sleeper candidates for click of the week and strong candidates for click of the week that I'm gonna have to choose from. This is one of them. I really like Weird World. the art really is a big strength of this, and Jason Aaron's writing is, top notch on this. He's, kind of riffing on a lot of different things. Like I said, he does incorporate, excuse me, a reference to Conan. So anyone who would get that, please read it. Who's yawning?
No one.
Who's yawning?
No one.
Weird World is good. Read it, Dirt.
You can't make me. What about Uncanny Inhumans?
Anyone else read it?
Moving right along then.
I read it.
Wow, what a ringing endorsement.
Right?
I was looking forward to this. Maybe I should, because in Humans #1, I remember when that came out. It was nothing fancy or blow the roof off the doors or whatever the saying is.
Blow the roof off the doors.
That's actually a joke from the Fantasy Focus Football podcast on ESPN. They
Nice.
say that line. But this for Uncanny Humans, nothing is like, I guess because you're dropped in 8 months later, it's like you start with Black Bolt, who's the guy, the fish guy in Human, Triton and Reader teleport somewhere, and then we see they went a whole bunch of years into the past to Attilan, where it was somewhere else. And then Kang shows up and he's like, "You gave me your son because you thought the world was going to end. You can't renege on our offer." So
I totally forgot about that. I was
So
like, what is he talking?
So I'm going to drop you into this timeline where some big nuclear bomb's about to go off, and then it jumps to the present where Beast is working with the humans to try to figure out whatever's going on with them and the mutants, and
And the Terrigen Mist.
the Terrigen Mist, and I don't know, just the issue total to me just was like kind of Steve McNiven's art didn't look the same to me. I don't know if it was a different colorist. I feel like it was a different colorist than what he's been using recently. I need to do some research and check that.
I think it was I read something online about this.
Yeah, they had inker and penciler switch. They had inker
Leaston, right.
Yeah, they had Leaston, who actually follows me on Twitter. He was listed as the penciler instead of the inker, and McNiven was listed as the inker. It's McNiven's art. They just
it's super rough.
Yeah,
it's super rough. I don't think. Is there an inker listed on this, or is this straight pencil to color?
It's pencil to inker. Yeah, Leaston's the inker. He's McNiven's inker.
For whatever reason, it's
Sonny Chow was the colorist, so I need to see if he's the same colorist he's been using.
Right.
But yeah,
I noticed it
didn't look as detailed. Didn't look as detailed as McNiven's art normally.
Yeah.
Maybe he had to rush it.
Right.
And there's a backup story with art from Brandon Peterson that kind of picks up with Gorgon being crippled, and he has a son. I guess all these Inhumans have sons or children now, at least the adults do. So the former policeman guy, Frank McGee, is taking a team to find new humans, and I guess it originally started to try to help Gorgon find his son. They go find they find a new human that can create glass objects, and McGee does a transmission back to Gorgon saying hey, we found this new human. Sorry, it's not your son, but we'll keep looking. And then we come to find out that the son, he gets off the phone with McGee, then he calls Crystal. And she's like, "Hey, Gorgon, your son's fine. You want to talk to him?" And he's like, "No, I can't. I'm ashamed." Basically, he's ashamed at being a cripple, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going on with that. Supposedly, it's an important story to the overall fabric of the Inhuman story.
Right. Unfortunately, I found myself not remembering a lot of the details of what happened prior to Secret Wars. So this story, more so than some of the other all new, all different stuff, kind of fell flat for me because I could not remember for the life of me what happened before Secret Wars.
Yep. I'm gonna get my click of the week out the way. I don't know if y'all have already gotten to mine or not. Originally I said one earlier, but I might switch it to the Paybacks #2 from Dark Horse.
Nice.
What?
Nice.
I enjoyed this issue as we find out a lot more clues for the various members of the Paybacks team.
Right.
I'm trying to think what they call it, the Repo team. Yeah, the Repo superhero Repo men. There's a lot of Easter eggs.
There's a ton of Easter eggs in this issue.
I didn't realize there was Iron Man on the cover. I think you probably did. I don't know if we brought that up before or not, but yeah, it's like Iron Man's on the cover getting his stuff repossessed, and then there's like a line of people waiting to get, I guess, their repoed weapons, and there's like a gray Savage Dragon. There's a Elektra with green instead of red. I forget some of the other various people you recognize as far as characters go.
Sure.
But yeah, real funny book from the friends of the podcast: Donnie Cates, Elliot Rahal, Jeff Shaw. So my click of the week.
Nice. So there's an analog in the story to what one would presume to be either the Avengers or the Justice League. That's a cool little bit. There's another Easter egg-filled double-page spread where I guess there's a supervillain who is basically tasked to kind of catalog many of the things that get repoed. And if you open to that page, that double-page spread, you'll spot the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle van. You will spot the Sword of Omens. You'll spot the Silver Surfer surfboard, the Infinity Gauntlet, Galactus's helmet, what's probably the SR-71 Blackbird from the X-Men, and a TARDIS. So, that's it was a lot of fun just to kind of pour over that two-page spread to see what Jeff Shaw had snuck into the book in terms of Easter eggs. So I had a lot of fun reading this as well. I appreciated a lot of the little things that are revealed in the second issue of this book, like some of the capabilities of the Paybacks. Let's see, how did this issue end? Oh, and this issue ends on a cool cliffhanger because we find out something about one member of the Paybacks team that could prove to be pretty interesting going forward. Anybody else read it? Just him?
No, haven't read it.
All right, give it a shot. Give it a shot. It was pretty good.
I plan to. It's just one of those for the weekend. Just
Gotcha.
no chance for yet.
We'll talk about it next week in back issues.
All right. So let's do some Star Wars, gents.
Go for it. I actually didn't read any. Did anyone? Did Roddy? Did Dirt read it?
I read Darth Vader.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then let's go to Star Wars Shattered Empire #4 first and get that one out of the way. This is the last issue for this miniseries, which, as we all know, pretty much centers around Shara Bay and her husband Kes, whose last name I'm not going to say just yet, because there is a tie to the movie, this is already old news, so it's not really so much of a spoiler.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, no need to ring the bell?
No, not so much. I mean, it's kind of a spoiler if you just don't want to know anything about the movie coming up.
Okay, la 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 la.
But it's not a big spoiler that you can tell. So in this issue, Luke is looking for a pilot. He sends out R2 to find one, and who he should find is Shara Bay, who was the pilot who also almost shot him down in the first book as he was leaving the Death Star. Yes. So, which that little exchange was kind of amusing because it's like, so R2 comes out, finds her, goes back to Luke with her following him, and Luke just goes into the mission. Kind of starts talking about the mission he wants. Then he's like, "You look familiar. Do I know you?" And she was like, "Yeah, I almost shot you down." And then he's like, "Oh wait, you're the pilot that went to Leia with Naboo." So then there was that. So then they started talking about the mission again, to which ends up with them taking a shuttle, going into this Imperial base to try to take something that Luke wants, which happens to be a couple of trees. Well, we don't know. We don't know if this is going to kind of affect anything going forward. I'm not sure. It
Are they
seemed like
Groots?
potentially. No, but they are special because these trees were at the Jedi Temple, which was destroyed.
Ah.
As a matter of fact, there's two little, I guess, saplings out of them that, for some strange reason, the Empire had in a stasis field. So Luke went with the pilot to get them out, and she went undercover, which the cover got blown because the head of the base was like, "You're trying to imitate this person, except for the fact that this person is missing an eye. So yeah, what are you doing here?" So then fights ensued. They get the trees. The funny part was that the commander was like, "Don't shoot them, just blow them up." So they had some thermal detonators that they threw at Luke, which, yeah, big mistake, because all he did was just throw them back at him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's the last command you'll ever make," and then bloop, everybody's gone. So they get the trees back, and on their way back to wherever the base is, Luke is talking to Shara, and earlier in the story, her orders had gotten put in for her to leave the rebellion because she was supposed to be starting a family. Well, she already had a family started because she has a son, and people that they don't get to see because they're always, on mission or whatnot, and they were considering trying to leave the rebellion, but they didn't want to because fighting was still going on. So her and Luke was talking, and like I said, the orders for her had already been put in by her CO, so against her will, but she went along with it anyway, and her husband had already put his in. So they're talking, and Luke was like, "Well, I only need one of these trees, so you and your husband take that one. It needs a good place." So whether that comes up with anything in the story, in the movie, we don't know. Now, the other part of that is the reason why I didn't mention the
last name.
The husband's last name was because his last name is not the same as what she's going by, and his name is Kess. And the last name is, I'm trying to pronounce it here, Delorean, whatever, who ends up, and the son is going to end up being in Force Awakens as a pilot for the rebellion.
Okay.
So that is the tie to the movie as we know it. Like I said, anything else with the trees, we don't even know if that's going to be a thing, or Luke, or whatever the case may be. But otherwise, the story was good. I love the art. Chichoto's art and it has been pretty great in this issue. I can't remember if he did all 4 issues or not.
So
I think so.
The tie-in for this comic to work as a bridge between the good trilogy and the new movies is that we're introduced to these 2 characters who have a child, and that child is a pilot in Force Awakens?
Correct, because this takes place because this whole series has taken place like right after Return of the Jedi. So right. It's pretty much them mopping up. So there was that, but yes.
So the tie-in is to introduce the parents of a pilot.
Right?
Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Like I said, if there's something else with the trees or whatnot, maybe, but I don't know. But that was the direct tie.
Maybe that guy that we see flying the X-Wings in the trailers?
Yes.
Is that the same guy?
That's the same dude, yeah.
So this lady and then her man are the same, or his parents, you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully this dude's going to be something special, or whatever the case may be, because the parents just seem to be all right.
Okay.
Nice. I need to get caught up then. They're
Right,
putting out
then.
an issue a week now, so.
Oh, and we
that's-
got Chewbacca coming out next week.
Yes, we
So
do.
Which
we're
reminds
gonna.
me, I haven't read this week's Batman and Robin Eternal yet.
All right,
All
so
right.
Darth
Talk
Vader.
about Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
This was fun
Mhm.
because this is where everything is starting to appear to crumble. Things are catching up too quickly for Darth Vader to stay one step ahead. So now he's like a half step ahead. He's on the
One would
brink.
argue he's not even that though.
he's a hair lip ahead. I don't know how you. It's really getting close. Well,
Mhm.
we'll just say that it's getting close. What's the guy's name? Thanoth.
Yes.
Thanoth is closing in on Afra. Of course, Afra is working for Vader. They stole the credits from the Emperor, and Thanoth is trying to find out who stole the credits and why. So Vader's got to stop him from making the connection, and he is hot on the trail of Afra. And so we get to a point in this book where it looks like there's an exchange towards the end of the book where it looks like everything may be over for Afra. It looks like she may not survive this issue, and so this is less an issue about explaining some of the secrets about Vader or some of the relationships between the characters, and this is more about the chase. This whole issue is about Thanoth being right on the tail of Afra and Vader basically doing everything he can to not be obvious about ruining this investigation. And that's where the fun comes in this book. I mean, this was a lot of fun. I'm loving this series. So this is one of the best Vader books that I've read. It keeps going that way, but the way that Vader almost loses everything, and then just barely ekes out a little bit at the end is just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, this series has been good so far, and even like within the course of this issue, Vader's talking to Thanos, and it's like, that's that's impressive or something, trying not to play his hand. But even I think in the Thanos stuff, I suspect there's more there because if you recall, in the end of the last issue, there was something on the last page that kind of may or may not tell that Thanos knows more than he's saying.
Yeah, he makes an offhanded comment, and you're not sure, is he secretly trying to let Vader know that he's onto him, or is it just, he chose the right series of words and Vader is now paranoid.
Right.
You don't know how exactly it's. Is Vader, still one step ahead and he's just starting to lose it, or is this guy really good at his job?
Exactly.
I think the only real flaw I had with this book is I thought the artwork got a little funky in a couple spots.
It's still a Roka, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's this one shot of Vader, and he's standing in front of a strike force of stormtroopers, and you can tell that he's cut and pasted stormtroopers in order to fill out this panel.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like the scale is off on some of them a little bit, and just kind of looks funky the way that they're all cut and pasted into these rows, and the rows don't quite line up correctly in perspective, and I don't know, it just looks a little weird with the it looks like he put some fog over it just trying to cover up the fact that some of them were a little off as they got closer to the front of the screen. But I mean that's a minor nitpick considering the entire book. Otherwise, the book was just great. I love the expressions on the characters and that kind of stuff that he's doing. So storytelling solid, just a little funky with the Photoshop. But
gotcha.
Yeah, I kind of took that part as like, because they were, assuming they were like supposed to be above the troopers or something. It was just like a weird angle they showed, and I didn't think about that. But you're right, it was kind of a little weird in that. So, but yeah, it was a good read.
It is fun to watch because I mean Vader, he's a villain, and of course he's the worst villain of all time to most of us who grew up in the '80s. But at the same time, you really kind of like him for his underhandedness in this series, and you find yourself rooting for him against other bad guys. Like, he may be a bad guy, sure, but these other bad guys are bad guys you like less, so therefore you like him more.
Mm-hmm.
And it works on a level where if he's up against the rebels, of course you're rooting for the rebels, but otherwise when he's, doing these backhanded deals against the Empire and other spots, then you're rooting for him. So it's fun to see things start to unravel for him, and he's able to pull it back together. You can cheer for him, even though you're also kind of wanting to see what happens if he does lose,
Right.
So it works either way, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was a couple other good parts of this issue where when the two droids were on the other side of or wherever they were,
and they were gambling.
And they were playing holo chess, and it was like, all right, you won, no cheating whatsoever. And then you thought that they were just gonna let it go, and then that's when Vader ends up coming in with the Inquisitor or the agent rather, and things start to pop off. Well, actually, it was because of them that the things start popping off because 000 is like, I wish we could have done something about that about the loss we just got handed, and then BT just blasted them, which starts the firefight because the stormtroopers had already come through. It just starts the firefight that just so happens to help Vader out, which I don't know if that was calculated or not, because during the midst of the firefight, and they're just standing there, like Vader, the guy they were looking for, and the agent was talking to the guy that they came to see, and then all of a sudden, shots just blazing all around them, and then Vader just force pushes a blast that he sees, or presumably either the person that was almost about to get the blast or the blast itself, which I don't think the Force worked that way.
Yeah, it looked like he
right.
moved the guy who was about to get hit, so the bullet would travel back and hit the stoolie in back.
Right. So I was like, that was convenient. So, and then we get to the rest of the issue. I was like, that was pretty well done. So you could see it was like, Vader's thinking on his feet because whatever's happening. But
yeah, I like how
was cool.
BT and 000 have their own personalities. They do come across as like here in this instance. What I kind of gathered was that Vader told him, at this particular point when you see stuff.
Sorry.
What?
That was weird.
Right.
I clicked on something and it started talking like stupid ads.
All right. So anyway, well, stop going to adultfriendfinder.com. But I got the sense that
I'm not cheering that.
Yeah. Okay. The Vader told the droids, when you see the stuff going down, start a distraction or whatever. But their hope was, hey, as long as we're here, we got time to kill. Let's cheat some dudes out of a bunch of credits and build up our own little cash here. Yeah. And they didn't get a chance to finish their con. But I like the fact that as droids, they do have their own little subplot going, and they have their own personalities, and it is just kind of fun to see an evil C-3PO and an evil R2-D2 doing their end of the spectrum.
Yeah, and I would like to see more of Afra, but it seemed like if whatever happens to her, or if anything happens to her at the end of this, ends up being final or whatnot, then so be it. But like the side characters in this book has been just as much of a treat than seeing Vader doing his thing.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
I just got 2 more books.
I was about to say we're getting down to it because I think I'm out. I think I'm done.
Because it is getting late.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Let me. It says my microphone is muted again.
It was for a second. It keeps cutting out.
Okay. Trancers. This is going to be a book. 99% of the people, I think, on planet Earth are going to have no idea what this book is. This is actually based on a cult movie series that came out in the late 80s, early 90s. Full Moon Entertainment that did a whole bunch of direct-to-VHS movies back in the day. Trancers starred Tim Thomerson, who was better known actually as a stand-up comedian at the time, and a young Helen Hunt, which, yes, that Helen Hunt, in this story about a time traveler who goes to what was then modern-day Los Angeles in order to track down a fugitive from the future who was killing ancestors of leaders in the future. And it's one of those stories where it's time travel, but they took the time travel so loose. They played so freely with it. The idea was this bad guy was going in the past and killing these ancestors, so in the present time, the descendants would just disappear. So you had this tribunal of leaders of Angel City, which is what was left of Los Angeles, and as an ancestor got killed, a member of the tribunal would just disappear, and just, whoop, he's gone, because they went back and killed his ancestor. So time travel was not the... if you've seen Interstellar or any of those type movies, this is not dealing with the theory of relativity and that kind of stuff. This was much more fast and loose with the idea of it. But it was fun. It was this bad guy who turns people basically into mindless zombies, sends them out to do his bidding. So it was an early version of the running zombies that can use weapons. They're just basically more of mind control than they are flesh-eating monsters. But it was a fun, goofy, low budget. They made like 5 or 6 of these over the years, which was really amazing, considering they were all direct to VHS that you had to go down to the video store and rent back in the day. And this series, what it does is Gray and Palmiotti, Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti, which, I mean, they've done everything from Marvel and DC over the years. Right. They've taken the story and certain parts of it that are glossed over in the movie, they expand upon. And the key parts of the movie that you're already familiar with, they just kind of speed past. So they've taken the story. If you read this book and you watch the movie and you put them together, you're getting the complete story. And so it's fun to go back and revisit some of that stuff and to see those characters playing around again. There's Tim Thomerson from the movie. And it's like the dialogue is cheesy, the special effects were bad, the technology is kind of weird, and it was just so much fun to go back and live in that world again. This does a really good job of bringing that back. The only problem is you can tell that the artist, Salazar, or however you pronounce that, he's doing computer-generated models that he's then drawing on top of or digitally painting on top of. So sometimes they look stiff. They look very, very much like a poser model. If you've ever seen the software Poser, like he's using that to move the characters around and then drawing on top of them. So there are some places where the movement just looks a little awkward. It looks almost, PlayStation 1 full motion video, Resident Evil, awkward anatomy. But you look past that. I mean, that kind of, on the one hand, it kind of looks bad, but on the other hand, it really does well with the idea of that cheesy, low budget, style. So I don't know how much of that was intentional and how much is just, he's a new artist testing out some new technology. But overall, it's fun. If you're familiar with the movies at all, you'll love it because it's so true to that source material. I just thought it was great.
Cool.
And there are like 4 different covers to choose from, which is one of the things Action Lab does all the time.
Right.
The only other book is from ID. I think the microphone.
Yeah, you're going in and out.
Yeah.
Star Trek. This is Star Trek 50, and this is a big, big milestone for a licensed book, but B, Star Trek being one of the most well-done licensed book that's tied into the property. This being an oversized milestone issue, they're doing the Mirror Universe, and they're doing the Mirror Universe as the style of course, the J.J. Abrams world, and things are a little different because in J.J. Abrams' world, we've gotten Wrath of Khan, but it was different because of this new world that they live in. So when they go to the Mirror Universe is still the Empire, and it's still the ISS Enterprise. Spock has got the goatee. Everybody's evil, but in this world, Khan has been stranded on SETI Alpha 5. Along with a bunch of the other rebels, like they were in the regular Star Trek universe, but not in this version of the Star Trek universe. So there's a lot of subtle wink nod to the original timeline and the original storylines with Star Trek thrown in there, and it's just done so well. This is another one of those things where, because they're doing movies and not a TV series, they skip over so much stuff. You know, the movies come every 4 years or 5 years, whatever. So there's so much time in between that they're using this series as a way to explore those things and to throw in this mirror universe and to play around with it. And you know that everything that happens in the story is canon. You know, if someone gets hurt, they're hurt in the real world. You know, Tribbles appear first in the comic, and then they show up briefly in the movie because you've already gotten their story. You know, Harry Mudd, appears in the comics, and he's just mentioned in the movie. You know, they're doing all of that kind of stuff, and so the story is just really fun to see how they play with the mirror universe, how they do their own take on that classic story, but it still feels right, and it still feels real, and it still feels like it belongs with this new version of the Star Trek universe. One of the other great things about this issue is that it's oversized. And so you get extra story pages. The story is a little bit longer than it normally would be. I think you get an extra 10 pages of story. Then there's bonus material in the back. They have interviews with the writer. They have a brief history of the Star Trek comics publishing history from DC, from Marvel, from Gold Key, from Wildstorm, when Wildstorm did it for a little bit. They talk to the artists, from Tim Bradstreet, who did some covers, to the people who have been working on the monthly books. They talk about the producers and how they've given them hints and clues of what to do in the comics because of where it's going to lead, into the movies. And there's just all this great extra reference material. This is your Blu-ray presentation of the comic with your, added materials at the end. So, I mean, if you love the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe, pick up this issue, if nothing else, just to look at all that bonus stuff that they throw in the back about the universe and about the comics and how things tie in. But also, they've done a very good job with the arcs, where if you like Star Trek but you don't necessarily want to read, you don't want to invest, $4 every month on an ongoing series, you can pick up 2 issues here or 3 issues there in order to get an episode of, presumably what the series would be set in this universe. And this being the mirror universe is one of those key fan favorite storylines. So you want to pick up the story, if you want to see one episode, so to speak, then you can grab this in the next couple issues, and you're going to get your complete story of what happens in the mirror universe in the J.J. Abrams continuity. So it's fun, it's well done, the art's great, the story's great, it's got all those great bonus material stuff at the end. This is my click of the week.
Nice.
So read it, or you're not my friends anymore.
I'm like 4 issues behind, so I'm gonna have to. I got some catch up to do apparently.
All right, that's what I got for this week.
All right.
I got one more, and that's it. So we might as well go ahead and make this a quick click or whatever happens. Shield number 11. Not much to say. They run into Dominique Fortune, who a blast in the past for anyone who's been around the comics for a while. He has a riverboat that he gets swindled out of, and he calls in Coulson to, S.H.I.E.L.D. more specifically, but Coulson answers to help him get it back because he thinks it's been taken by Hydra, which ended up being the case, but no one knew that at the time. Dominic Fortune does his Dominic Fortune and kind of plays the odds, as they say, but ends up turning it out because Coulson's got a few tricks up his sleeves when they get captured, and everything works out for the better. And this also kind of plays into Coulson's fascination with things of the past and people of the past, which apparently he gets over in this issue thanks to Dominic Fortune. And that's it.
I saw that Howard Chaykin did the art on this, so if anyone is enthusiastic for Chaykin's art, pick this up. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, I just skimmed it, but I'm looking forward to reading this.
Yeah. It makes sense because I guess given the subject,
The flashback nature kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of, because there were a couple of not necessarily full flashbacks, but the whole thing just kind of plays out as like reminiscent of the past. Like I have gone back and forth Shagan's work, but it works out in this one. And that's it I got.
Cool. All right, click of the week time.
Well,
So I did mine
Dirk's.
already.
Yeah, we got Tim's.
Got mine.
Yep.
Look at this. Tim's trying to mimic my background. Got the dark, the low light and all that.
I did.
No, he was
you can
asleep.
see me.
That's all.
So who else needs to do their?
I do, and yeah. That kind of reminds me of something, but I'll bring up real quick from 1872, which is not my pick. But there was, I don't know why I'm thinking about this now, but there was a part in 1872 where so the dam gets blown up that Red Wolf was trying to get dealt with in the first place, and then after that we see I guess somebody of the tribe or whatever go into their tent, and there are some guns
futuristic,
some guns that don't look like they should be in that time.
Futuristic George Jetson crazy. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but then it flips to where it looks like, the Punisher comes in, and I thought maybe that was the case, but no, that wasn't it. So, and that never got brought up again. So maybe that's gonna get brought up someplace.
This is again, we were discussing earlier about how Weird World bridges.
Mm.
That definitely was something that some groundwork being laid for future storylines in the new Red Wolf book, I think.
Right. I was like, well, that was out of the blue, but all right, sure, somebody will take it up. But anyway, click of the week will probably be.
I'm torn between Astonishing Ant-Man #1 and Amazing Spider-Man #2. I gotta make a choice.
Ant-Man was pretty good, but I'm thinking.
Gotta make a choice. Make a choice.
You know what? Given the nature of the week and all that's going, I'm gonna go with Shattered Empire.
Wow. We have not really reviewed this book that well, so that's why I'm surprised.
I mean, Vader as a whole this week was probably a little bit better, but as a tie into the new book, and it was actually a good, it was a good action-packed read. Some would argue there was not too much in the whole series that would make it worth getting, but. So I'm going to go with that one, though.
A Star Wars nerd and you just cannot.
Exactly.
Yeah. I gotcha. You know what? I'm going to go with my gut instinct, and it's not because I'm being swayed by the Biggie tribute for the hip hop cover, but I'm going to go with Astonishing Ant-Man #1 as my click of the week. You got to use the Biggie cover.
Oh.
The Mark Brooks cover.
I think I have that somewhere. Let me look here.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's funny.
Let's see. Where do we go? There it is.
There it is. That's my click of the week.
What's Roddy Cat's picture?
Oh,
that's
straight
straight out of Astonishing Ant-Man.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
you should read it to him. It's pretty funny.
Alrighty, so that's this episode of Comic Book Chronicles. Applause.
I'm getting there. I have to move my mouse.
I want to thank my co-hosts for holding it down for me tonight. Make sure to follow them on their individual Twitter accounts. Agent 70 is @agent_70 on Twitter. Roddy Cat is @RoddyCat and @NewsNerdsNeed. PCN Dirt is @PCN_Dirt.
Woohoo!
And I'm @TimDLGG98 and @CBCron. We'll be back next week with another episode of Comic Book Chronicles. And we are signing off.
Hey!
Bye!